Hi everyone, welcome back to Hive Knits and Natters YouTube channel. I'm Lizzie, the maker behind Hive Knits over on Instagram, and you can also find me on Ravelry as Hive Knits. So today's video is a little bit different. Normally I make podcast episodes where I talk about what I'm knitting and any acquisitions I've had, finished objects, work in progress, that kind of thing. But today's video is not going to be in that format. If you watched my last episode of my podcast, I said that I wanted to make a video looking at the yarn I have in stash and what plans I have to use it. And I am really nosy as a person, so I would love to watch a video like this if someone else made one, and I have seen a few other people making sort of similar videos and I absolutely love it. Like, I love to see what people have got in their stash, what they're planning to make with it, how their tastes have changed over time. Like, I just think it's so interesting. So that's one reason that I'm making this video, because I'm nosy and I would like to see other similar videos. But another reason is because sustainability and like slow versus fast fashion and all that goes along with those concepts have been like really hot topics of debate in the like maker and crafter world at the moment. As with every topic that's ever up for debate, there are huge extremes of opinions, and there are people out there who will say you should only, craft with really super sustainable yarn that you can completely trace, and you should only have yarn in your stash for that project you're making at that moment. And there will be people completely on the other end of the spectrum that say, yarn buying is a hobby and I do what I love and it makes me happy and it doesn't matter and I should be allowed to do whatever makes me happy. And I've seen so many opinions flying around, and there was the We Are Knitters and Zara collaboration as well that kind of sparked debate, and I haven't fully decided where my opinions completely lie yet, and I think that's okay. But I do think the whole debate made me kind of stop and think about like, oh, well, how much do I have in my stash and what are my intentions for using it, and will I ever use it, and is like my knitting practice sustainable, and am I guilty of being caught up in like not fast fashion as we know it in terms of sort of big global brands that don't pay workers well, but getting caught up in the sort of like Instagram driven need for more and consumption and that kind of thing. My lovely friend Sophie has written a really in-depth and interesting and self-reflective blog post on this, which you can read via if you find her page on Instagram, or I will link it down below. And she has articulated all this far better than me. And I haven't quite decided exactly where my opinion on all this lies. But like I say, it did just prompt me to be like, I would like to have a good look at what I have and what my intentions are for that. And I kind of thought it'd be interesting to combine that into a video to satisfy any nosy viewers out there. So I don't want this to be like this by no means is a lecture, like, no. It's also not me being like, look at what I've got, aren't I lucky, look at all my things. It's not that either. It's kind of me taking stock of what I've got, which I did earlier today, and it was a really, really interesting process and I would really recommend it. Taking stock of what I've got, taking stock of what I plan to do with it, and just, as a bit of accountability for myself, because there are so many amazing patterns out there, there is so much amazing yarn out there, and I realise that I actually have quite a lot of both of those already, and it is really easy to get caught up in the sort of, I am blaming Instagram because I do think it's partly it's partly what drives it, but sort of the consumption, and you know, you see a photo and you think, I want to have that, and that's how human brains work, you know, like that's how dopamine works, and that's how like Instagram is made to work, because that's what makes the money, showing us stuff and us wanting it, and the consumer cycle, you know, carrying on. But I just wanted to use the opportunity to stop, take stock, and kind of enjoy what I have and enjoy making plans. And actually this morning I got everything out, and I'll show you, but I made, like, I've got a bullet journal that I got from, I'll just show you now, that I got from Kimmy of Knit and Living. And in it, you basically can journal what you're making or what you're planning to make each month. But the point of the bit I wanted to show you was at the back there is somewhere where you can document your yarn stash. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is great. So I was like, right, I'm going to write everything down. And there's a column for what yarn, what plans, and then how much you have. And actually, when I was documenting everything that I have, it was when I was writing down the plans, and, you know, like, I got some stuff out that I've had for ages, and it just re-sparked, like, you know, some ideas for what to make with it, or kind of plans that I'd forgotten about and had been, like, subsequently taken over by other newer things. And yeah, it just was a really, really good exercise in being like, no, I have some amazing stuff and I can make some amazing, amazing creations with this. And yeah, I just thought I'd share that process with you. And, you know, if this inspires anybody to do the same, and then instead of like making that order that perhaps you didn't need to right now, then that's great. I am not against buying things, buying new yarn, absolutely not. I just think it's also important to have a look at what you already have, and you know, you bought all this for a reason. Just taking some time to reflect and remember why you purchased it, and even if the purpose has changed, find a new purpose. It's really fun. I've had a great time. So I'm going to start waffling on and show you, because there's quite a lot to get through. I'm just going to see how it goes. If it feels like it's turning into a bit of me just being like, and here's this, and here's this, and this colour, and this colour, then maybe I'll like split it up or edit some other bits in, or I don't know, not put it up on YouTube at all. But we'll have a go and see. So let's get started. First of all, I thought I've got two projects that are like active works in progress at the moment. So I thought I would start with the yarn in my stash that is for those, and we can go from there. So that is the only bit of this video that's going to be remotely like a podcast. So I can pop this on here and then I can read it as we are going through. How organised. So the first yarn I have in stash is in this container, which is really fun. I got this from TK Maxx, which is like a big store in the UK where you can kind of buy loads of random bits and bobs, homeware, clothing, gifts, that kind of thing. And yeah, I kind of keep my stash in like these IKEA boxes, which go into bookcases. Whoops, they're from the Kallax range, and they just slide into storage units. So that's fine for hiding stuff away. But when I've got like active projects and like bits of yarn floating around, I wanted somewhere to like tidy it up a bit. So I bought this, and then it stops it looking really messy when it's all out on the in the living room and stuff. So I'm babbling already. So the first yarn that I have in stash is Double Sunday by Petite Knit, which I showed you in my last podcast. There you are, Double Sunday. This one is in the colour Whipped Cream, and this one is in the colour Juicy Green. Now, I purchased these from Simona at Knit Yarns, which you will probably hear a bit about today, because some of the yarn in this video was gifted by her. These yarns weren't. I purchased these with my own pennies. So I am using those yarns to make one of my own designs. I talked a bit about it in my last episode. If you want to see it in more detail, please watch episode 10 of Hive Knits Natters podcast. But essentially this is how the double Sunday is knitting up. It's really nice. It's 50 grams gives you 108 meters, which I would say is like a DK weight. I'm using, this fabric is made using a 4mm needle, and the ribbing on the neck was made using a 3.5mm needle. This is a new design that I'm hoping will become my colour block raglan, which I have been thinking about for a long time. This was my swatch. It's really ensy, isn't it? But yeah, if you want to see more about that like design process, then have a look at my previous podcast episode. So I ordered 14 skeins of the whipped cream colour, which I can't remember why I ordered that much. I think the Petite knit Marseille sweater is knit up using the Sandnes Garn double Sunday, and I kind of base my yarn amounts off that, I think. However, that is striped, whereas I won't need to use very much of the contrast colour to do the contrast raglan. I'm hoping to do it in either duplicate stitch or crocheted over the top. I bought 3 skeins of the statement green, and I actually used one and a bit of them for my school run headband. I tested for Laura of Penrose Knits, so that was a bit naughty. I dipped into this when I probably shouldn't have, but I just love the colour so much, and I actually genuinely don't think I'll need 3 skeins to crochet or duplicate stitch on some stripes. Famous last words. I probably will now, and then I'll be crying because the dye lot won't match. But anyway, that is the first of the yarns that I have in my stash, and I'm already using it for my new design. So I'll put these back in here. So my next yarn that I have in, well, 2 yarns I have in stash, because my second work in progress I am using 2 yarns held together. So the first yarn I'm using for my next whip is the Peruvian Highland wool, which is by Filcolana. Again, purchased from Simona of Knit Yarns, but with actually not my pennies, my parents' pennies, so this was a Christmas present. Alongside, where has it gone? Yes, alongside this beautiful mohair from Rheia Yarns, which is hand-dyed in the colourway Artemis. Again, if you want to know more about this yarn, then have a look at my previous podcast episode, but these are the yarns held together. This is Snow White and this is Artemis. So the Peruvian Highland wool is another sort of heavy DK. 50 grams gives you 100 meters, and I've got 12 of these. This mohair, I ordered 3 skeins, and these are 420 meters to 50 grams. So 3 of these and 12 of these, and I'm really hoping it will be enough. I will show you, oh goodness, sorry, I'm all tangled, where I've got to so far. On this, where's the front? That's the front. This has come a lot on a bit since my last podcast episode, actually. So this I'm using these 2 yarns in combination to make a sweater number 11 by My Favourite Things Knitwear, which is a top-down sweater with a big twisted rib neck and a beautiful shoulder detail, and I just love the combination that these yarns are making together. I'm not generally a big fan of hand-dyed yarns. Hello. And by that I mean like the really bright colours, like really bold or variegated, or even any hand dye really, but I seem to have a soft spot for like hand-dyed mohair, hence this, because I just think it just changes that white, that plain white background, and it just lifts it, but it's not too much. Like, it's just speckled and just interesting enough, but like still to my taste. So I am so excited for this to be done. I'm knitting this on 5mm needles, which is what the pattern recommends. I did have a bit of issue with rowing out, so I have tweaked like needle sizes a little bit, and the gauge is a little bit different, but again, that's all in my previous podcast episode. So like I said, I got 12 skeins of the Peruvian Highland wool, and I think I've got this one which is attached to here, and then 5 more including this. I think I emptied them all into this basket, which is kind of unhelpful. And earlier I was like, oh god, that's not gonna be enough, but I don't know why, because I ordered 12. This has only just been broken into, so basically I've got 6, and I would say that this is half or more done. So I don't know why I'm worrying. Like, I've got probably just under half of a sleeve done, most of the body, and probably half of the neck. I've left the neck half done because I'm debating whether I actually do want to fold it or just have it like a high neck. Anyway, that's not what I'm supposed to be talking about in this episode. Stop it. I just need to focus on the yarn. There you go. So that's my sweater number 11. So I've talked about the Highland wool and the mohair. So next up in my stash, by the way, I'm not going to put like captions up for each yarn because it would take forever, and I'm gonna be real, I've got a set of nights coming up and I just don't have time to do that. It will really slow the editing down and thus the release of this video. So I hope I'm still in focus there. Oops, sorry. Am I? Sorry, I was just making sure I was still in focus. Sometimes when I have to manually change the focus to show the yarn, it goes a bit funny when I put everything back. So yeah, I was saying I'm not going to manually add all the captions and like have them on the screen because it would just take forever and I don't really have time. But I will obviously put everything down in the description below with all the details of the yarns that I have, how much I have of them, and their weights. I'm just going to pop all these bits up here when I've talked about them so they're out of the way, and also so you can see them. What's there? Okay, so sticking to the mohair theme, next I'm going to show you an absolutely beautiful mohair. Now this one was gifted from Simona of Knit Yarns for Christmas, which was just incredibly kind. She sent me 5 skeins, and I can hold them all together because they're so dingy, of Lang lace, and oh my goodness, it's just stunning. It's so pretty. I'll just hold 2 up so you can see. So Lang lace, you probably have heard of quite a bit recently because the lovely Laura of Penrose Knits has designed her souffle pattern using Lang lace mohair. That was released on Friday. Go and get a copy of the pattern if you haven't already. But this mohair is a little bit different to normal mohair in its composition and its weight. So I would say a standard mohair runs at roughly 200-ish, 210-ish meters per 25 grams. Now each one of these is 25 grams, but they run at 310 meters, and their content is a bit different to the 70-30, 80-20, which is standard. It is 58% mohair and 42% silk, sorry. So yeah, the composition is just a bit different, and it is just so pretty. It's so fluffy, you can see it's picking up there, and this colour is just gorgeous. This is 0009, or the colourway Rose. It's a really pale pink, which you can see is just going to be so stunning. And like I said, I have 5 skeins of this, which actually gives me quite a lot of meterage. It gives me, I wrote this down, yeah, just over 1,500 meters for 125 grams, which is great. So my plan for this is not set in stone yet. However, what I would really like to do is to make a sweater number 14, which is by My Favourite Things Knitwear, like the sweater number 11, and it's oversized. There's a round neck and a V-neck version, and yeah, it's really nice. I would make the round neck version, I think, and that pattern calls for 2 strands of mohair held with a yarn I'm not completely familiar with. It's one of the Helholt yarns, but I'm going to have a good look on Instagram on the hashtag, because I think for that beautiful mohair I really want to show it off. Now, I thought about using it on its own, like in the souffle, but I think in a garment like the sweater number 14, because it uses 2 strands of it held with another yarn, I think it would do the job of showing it off quite well. So Lisa, who is Fufu Knits on Instagram, has made a really beautiful, it's a grey sweater number 14 with a round neck, and I'll put a picture on the screen. But she's used like a few different tones of grey, mixed together. The mohairs were 2 different tones, and the I think she used, was it Saga by Filcolana? That was again a different tone of grey, and I thought that like a really pale grey mixed with 2 strands of this would just look really nice. So that's my current plan. I probably just need to swatch really to see if that will work out as I want to do, because this is such a pale pink that I think it would just like lift a pale grey and just provide that almost mild look that you get when you use a lighter mohair with a darker or different toned background yarn. So that's my plan. Need to swatch, so I might order some what did I just say? Saga. I hope Saga would still work, because obviously this is slightly thinner, so even using the 2 strands is going to give a slightly different weight total with the Saga, but I might be able to adjust for that with my needle size. So yeah, that is the plan for this beautiful Lang lace, and thank you again, Simona, so much for that. So sticking with the mohair theme again, let me show you this beautiful yarn. So this also featured on my previous podcast episode, so I'm sorry if you've just watched that and this is a bit repetitive. How lovely is this colour? It's so pretty. Beautiful baby blue. My boyfriend Pete bought me this mohair for Christmas, which was just so kind. I have 4 skeins of this. Whoop. Let me show you the colour there. Yeah, that's picking up. It's so pretty. I absolutely love this colour. I'm a sucker for like blues, greens, especially in the pastel shades. So yeah, so pretty. So this is from, now, it's a Danish chain of shops, and my friend Caroline told me that I pronounced it okay on the last episode. So let's see if I can do it again. Sostrene Grene. I'll show you the label. Can you see that? Is that focusing? Not really. There you go. Yeah, it's a Danish chain of shops, but we have one in Manchester, which is really fortunate, and that's where Pete picked this up. It's actually a mohair blend. I think, yeah, 80% mohair, 20% nylon. So it's a little bit different to like your Drops Kid Silk or your Telia or your Tynn Silk mohair. But yeah, it runs like quite a standard length for a mohair, 215 meters to 25 grams. So this should act like a standard sort of mohair to use as a second strand or use on its own. I was having a look. Pete was like, have I got you enough? Can you do anything with 4? Because I'm not sure you can get this colour anymore, which is a shame. But I have found that, again, I'm coming across as obsessed with my favourite things knitwear, which I kind of am. I'm not going to apologise for it. I think they've got some beautiful patterns. But the sweater number 9 by My Favourite Things Knitwear uses mohair as a second strand, and the size that I would need to make, I can't remember offhand what size that is, so I won't try and guess, but calls for 100 grams of mohair. Yay! And that's what I've got here. 4 times 25 is 100. Maths. So yeah, I think I'm going to have enough. So that's my plan for this mohair, to use as a second strand for the sweater number 9 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. What are you going to hold it with, Lizzie? I hear you cry. Like, you know, you just want to know the answer to that question. Well, don't worry, because I'm going to tell you right now. I'll just bobble this up there. I'm going to hold it with some knitting. I'm so sorry, I keep adjusting my top. Sorry, that's really weird. I'm going to hold it with some Knitting for Olive heavy merino. Now, I've never used any Knitting for Olive yarn before. I know, I live in a hole. I've always wanted to, I just have never found the excuse or justification for ordering any until they had their fundraiser for Ukraine, and I bought this little lady. Well, 7 of these little ladies actually. This is the Knitting for Olive heavy merino in soft aqua. I also talked about this on my last episode of my podcast, but in case you didn't see it or you're just enjoying this one-off video, obviously I will talk about it again. So it's a really interesting colour shade. I hope it did manage to pick up last time. There we go. It's not a uni colour, it's not flat at all. It's very heathered with some beautiful greens, blues, greys, creams. Yeah, it's just lovely. It's ever so slightly rough. It's non-superwash, so that would explain the texture. And it does smell sheepy. You have to do that, right? You have to smell your yarn. This runs 50 grams to 125 meters, which is, no, not the same as anything I've spoken about so far. I don't know why I thought it was. Slightly thinner than the Peruvian Highland wool and the double Sunday. You get slightly more length out of this for the same weight. So the combination I'm going to have for my sweater number 9 is this one, which I just think is lovely. This obviously is a little bit darker and a little bit more of like a saturated colour than this, but I think when it's in the lace weight strand it will look different. So I'm really looking forward to swatching this and seeing how it turns out. I just think that's going to be a really nice combination. I've wanted to make sweater number 9 for ages. It's one of the patterns that's been in my pattern library for such a long time. I just never really found the right yarn to make it. And this is the actual yarn that's recommended in the pattern, so that's always it's always a reasonable idea to use that. So I got 7 skeins of this, which gives me 875 meters or 350 grams. So for my size, this plus the 4 skeins of this should be good to go. I think there are 2 lengths of that sweater that you can make, like a cropped and a longer one, as well as like different things you can do with the neckline. So if for any reason I don't feel like I've got enough of this mohair, then I've got options of like adapting the pattern slightly. So it's probably one that I'll start making, do like, you know, the yoke and get joined in the round. So I think it's, no, what am I talking about? It's a raglan, because it's got the raglans of interest. So yeah, I'll probably do the yoke, join, what am I on about? Separate the sleeves, do the sleeves to the length I want, and then do the body, so I can adjust. So yeah, I think these will be a nice combination. I think in terms of this just popped into my head, but this double Sunday, this isn't superwash either, and this definitely feels a little bit rougher and more rustic. It's by no means unpleasant, it just, I'm aware of it a bit more. It's a slightly more prickly than this. However, I've heard that this softens quite nicely when it's washed and blocked, and this is already really quite soft. So it'll be interesting to compare these two once I've got a garment knit up in them, and it's like both of them are washed, blocked and ready to wear. I think, like, I'm knitting this on 4mm needles though, and I'll be knitting this on, I think, 6 for that pattern. They do, like, it's slightly different in that this is 50 grams is 125 meters and this is 50 grams is 108 meters, but yeah, be interesting to see how they knit up on such different needle sizes as DK yarns. So yeah, knitting for Olive heavy merino in soft aqua. Pop that there. Oh, a dead leg. That's not good so early on in the video. So while we are on, well, whilst I've spoken just a minute ago about some yarn from Sostrene Grene, I actually have another yarn in my stash from there, which is really quite interesting, and I haven't swatched it yet, but I'm keen to. And this is an example of something I found doing this stash dig today that I'd kind of forgotten I had. So around Christmas time, I think it was, Pete and I went to Sostrene Grene to have a nosy around, and I found this yarn. Let me show you. Whoops. Where's the nice tag gone? There it is. So this is in like a nice creamy colour. It's, there you go. This is another one of their yarns, and it's a wool and bamboo mix. Is it 70-30? Yeah, it's 70% wool and 30% bamboo. And I think that's a really interesting mix. I'm not sure I've ever come across that exact combination before. And oh my word, it's so incredibly soft. Like, looking at it, because it's sort of unplied, it's roving, it looks a bit like the Petite wool by We Are Knitters, but maybe a little thinner. But it feels a lot softer, and I don't know, maybe that's the bamboo in there, but it's just gorgeous, and it's got quite a sheen when it catches the light. I hope you can see that there. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to swatch this. This runs 50 grams to 125 meters. So this is the same meterage as this Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. They are the same meterage, which is very interesting. But you can see, if I show you, that they are quite different in their appearances. Let me see if that will pick up. This is much smoother and has a fluffy halo. And this is sort of rougher and doesn't have really any halo. Yeah, interesting. I hadn't quite clocked that they were exactly the same meterage. So, what am I thinking I might make with this? Well, I only have the 2 skeins because I just wanted to try them. So I have 100 grams and 250 meters. So, because it's so soft, I kind of want it on my face. And I don't have very much, so that's handy, because that's small things can go on your face and on your head. So I'm thinking about maybe when the autumn comes around, trying to make a headband or a hat incorporating some half fisherman's rib to go with the fur sweater. So yeah, we will see. That's probably what I will use these for, because honestly, they're so soft, and I think like your forehead can get quite sensitive when you've got something around it, like a hat or a headband if you're hot, and this just feels really nice. So I'll have to have a think, have a swatch, see if I could get a hat or just a headband out of it. But yeah, interesting. Wool and bamboo. Do you know of any other yarns that have that combination? Maybe there's a really obvious one, but I know obviously like there are bamboo yarns, which are like vegan yarns, but they tend to be more sort of summer weight yarns that I've seen. I can't think of anything that's kind of like dead similar to that, so very interesting little addition to the stash family. So next in my stash lineup to show you, I have some yarn that was gifted really kindly by Simona of Knit Yarns. So she sent me this last spring or summer, I think, and I apologise for the state of these skeins. They seem to have been flattened and the labels have gone all funny, but Simona sent me 2 types of yarn from Sandnes Garn. So the first one is their Tynn, which is a beautiful green melange. Yeah, stunning. So this is one of Sandnes Garn's summer weight yarns, and I have 2 skeins, and it is in the colour light green. This runs 50 grams to 220 meters, and it has an interesting makeup. So it is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. And I don't know if that's what you can see in am I holding it upside down now? In the different colours of the, I don't know if they're the different fibres or if they're all mixed and they've just been dyed to be like this green creamy melangey colour, but yeah, really pretty, and you can see how the light is shining and it's just got a nice glow, and I can already tell that's going to be really nice and drapey and just great for the summer. So I never got around to using it last year, which was a shame, and now that sort of spring is supposedly, although it's pretty grey outside today, coming back again, I like just had the what's the word, an impulse to just like make something summery with this the other day. So I have been doing a bit of research into like summer top and camisole patterns, and I just can't decide what I want to make. There are a couple of camis that I keep seeing everywhere, by My Favourite Things Knitwear, the camisole number 2 and the camisole number 4, which I'll put on the screen, but essentially like ribbed camisoles with really beautiful shaping. But yeah, there's a couple of others as well. There's the boho cami. Oh, and I've just forgotten who that's by. I'll put it down below. But that's kind of got like 2 spaghetti straps that come up each side and cross over at the back. Like, that's really interesting. The lovely Iris of Iris Makes has got quite a few summer tops, and she's also doing a summer top make along as well, which is really cool, and maybe I'll be able to join that if I get my act together and choose something to cast on. I also downloaded the Petite Knit Cumulus top. She's got cumulus vest, tee, blouse. I can't remember what it's called, the one that's a camisole basically, which is I'm kind of attracted to because it's really, really simple, and it's got a nice folded hem, which ever since doing Laura's souffle I really, really like. So I just don't know. I've seen a couple of other really cute camis as well that have got like peplums or ruffles along the bottom. So I just can't decide what I want. Maybe I'll have to just pick one at random. I did ask on my Instagram stories if people had summer top recommendations, so I will share the responses. So I've had quite a few already and have a look through them as well. But whatever I make, I know it's going to be stunning in this beautiful green colour. So thank you, Simona. In the same parcel last year, she also sent me, because she is lovely like that, some of this. So this is again by Sandnes Garn, again in a beautiful light greeny colour. This is Cos by Sandnes Garn, and this is a blown yarn, and oh my word, it's so squishy and so soft. I just want to lie in a bed of it and fall asleep there forever. It's so nice. So this is 62% baby alpaca, 9% wool and 29% nylon, and like I said, it's a blown construction, which I'm hoping the camera will pick up for you. Yes, I think you can just about see that there. So there's I'm assuming the nylon is the core sort of chainette cage, and then the alpaca and the wool are blown into it, and it's just, yeah, super soft, super fluffy. This is in the colourway Light Moss, and I have 6 skeins of this, 2 here, and I again received this last year, couldn't decide what to make with it, and then kind of by the time time went on, it wasn't really, it's just such a springy colour, so I really want to like make the most of that and crack on and make something. And again, just like, I mean, look what's behind me. We've got pastel pink, pastel blue, cream, pastel blues and greens. Yeah, this is a bit of me. So I think I might want to make the weekend slipover by Petite Knit with this, the V-neck one. It's a nice spring appropriate pattern, but it's not made for a blown yarn, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. This runs, I didn't say, did I? 50 grams is 150 meters for this. So I think this is a bit thinner than the recommended yarn for that pattern. Is it Peer Gynt? Can't quite remember. Whatever it is, I don't think this on its own would quite work. However, I could maybe hold a strand of mohair with it, which might elevate it a little bit. Otherwise, I think it would be really good for the, in fact, it might even be the recommended yarn for the Sunday sweater, or there are a couple of other designs that use blown yarn. So again, maybe I'll have to have a think if I swatch and I'm not meeting gauge for the weekend slipover. But I don't know, there's just something about that pattern and how like spring appropriate it is, and this colour, I just thought it would be super nice, like to have that like minty green slip over that you could wear over like a little white t-shirt, or even like a long sleeve high neck top if it's like still a bit chilly. Yeah, and it would be appropriate for autumn as well. So that's what I'm thinking for this. I really want to swatch this actually. Maybe I'll prioritise it on the old swatching list. It's just so much yarn. So let's pop that up. Join the party. I hope this is vaguely enjoyable. I think, like I said, when I started doing this, I like learned quite a lot about my preferences, and even just seeing it behind me, I'm like, oh, there's my colour palette right there. There's not like an orange or like a hot pink in sight, is there? It's quite funny. So, doing well. If you've got any questions about any of this, by the way, or like there's any details that I haven't talked about, first check the description because I'm going to type everything up down there, but like feel free to leave a comment or yeah, send me an email or an Instagram message. It's always nice to chat. So next, oh, I'm excited about the next one actually. Let me leave it. Not that I'm not excited about most of these, but yes, here we are. Sorry, bit of rustling. So this next yarn, definitely just had some mohair fluff in my mouth. This next yarn maybe wins, no, some of this yarn's been in my stash much longer, but this yarn has been in my stash for ages, and this was gifted by Simona of Knit Yarns, but not before. It was gifted to me before we knew each other, which is really weird. I remember, was it the Christmas before last Christmas, she did a giveaway, which I won. I literally never win anything. And I won this giveaway, and I remember she did this really cute giveaway, like, winner reveal video of her daughter picking a name out of a hat. And yeah, I won. And the prize was some Filcolana Arvetta, which I love, because that's what I made my first sweater in, and some Telia. And the prize was a sweater quantity in any colour you wanted. And I was like, oh my god, this is so exciting. So I went bold. I mean, let's just look at this colour palette and then let's look at what I went for. Hello! But oh my word, how exciting is this? So this is Filcolana Arvetta in Juicy Green, which is a very apt description for the colour. It's so good. I absolutely love bold green, as you can probably tell. And I just remember thinking, like, do you know what? If I haven't paid for this yarn, then let's just pick a really cool colour. Oh dear, a bit dangly bit there. So yeah, love Filcolana Arvetta. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and I used it for my first sweater. It's the recommended yarn and the yarn I made the sample in, and it's just lovely. I've got 8 skeins of this, which gives me 400 grams. And I'm pretty sure, I should know, it's my pattern, but I've completely forgotten. Yeah, that would be enough to make another first sweater. However, I also got, when I won this giveaway, the matching, oh my god, it's just amazing, the matching Telia, which is Filcolana's Mohair, also in Juicy Green, and oh my word, this is just, I mean, it's actually more vibrant than the Arvetta, and together they're just going to be absolutely amazing. So they're both 50 gram skeins, and they both run at 210 meters, which is very handy. And they are both Juicy Green, like I said. I have 6 skeins of this, and I have 8 skeins of this. And I am going to use these to make a first cardigan. So the cardigan version of the first sweater. And I've been talking about doing this for a while, but I actually am going to do it. I just, when I got these out of my stash earlier to talk about them, it ignited like this real excitement in me, because I was like, oh my word, I've forgotten what an absolutely blinding combination these are. And like, just imagine, you know, the stockinette cardigan, V-neck with the fisherman's rib sleeve. I mean, I just need to get it out onto paper and work out some like bits of how it's actually going to work, but I want to be wearing it already. So I think once I've once I've made progress with the contrast raglan, this is definitely going to be my next like project that I start tinkering about with. I actually bought some, because together these roughly make a light DK. I bought some acrylic DK just to mess about with, because anything with mohair is an absolute pain to frog, and I want to like work out how to do the placket and the increases and, you know, button bands and stuff on the first cardigan, preferably without ruining my beautiful yarn. So yeah, that's what these are going to become, and these have been in stash for such a long time, and I really feel like it's time for them to come out and play. So should we get them to ruin the vibe of sitting up here? Ooh, oh no, everything's gone wrong. Let's put that there. There we go. They're just there. There's a little fluorescing blot on my little pastel colour palette. But yeah, this is what I mean. I got them out earlier and was like, I forgot, they're so cool. So yeah, that's my Filcolana, Arvetta and Telia. Sorry, Wesley. Continuing on in talking about like the first sweater and other versions of it that I hope that there will be. I also have some plans for a mohair version of the sweater. I have talked about this on previous podcasts, but I have yarn to create it, so I need to just get on with it. So I have this Drops Kid Silk here. Now, I used Drops Kid Silk as my second strand in the original first sweater. I used the off-white colour, but this is a really lovely sort of greyish colour. It's called light beige, that's what Drops call it, and it's just beautiful. And this was kindly given to me by Simona of Knit Yarns as well, and I want to make like a really plush 3 mohair strand version of the first sweater. I have 15 skeins of this, ultimately squishy. I should say that this Drops mohair is 25 grams running at 210 meters, so again would consider it to be like more of a standard mohair than the Lang lace, if we have some to compare. Whoop, here he is. I don't know how easy it is to tell the difference in how thin they are. You probably can. And they have a completely different composition, so they do look very different. But then they are a completely different price point. So yeah. So I'm hoping to hold 3 strands of mohair together to create another first sweater, and potentially with some slightly different, not too different, but maybe slightly different design elements, like maybe just rethink the shaping a bit. I think, like, I did some swatches, and obviously there's a better one to show you. What's that one on? That's on 6mm. I'm going to do it on either 5, 5.5 or 6. I've not fully decided yet. The original first sweater is on 4mm needles, but like the half fisherman's rib is like very different, done on A, larger needles, come on, and B, 3 strands of mohair. Like, it's obviously very much more drapey, it's very much more open, which will make the sleeves a bit different in how they behave. Half Fisherman's Rib's really stretchy anyway, but I think it will be a bit of a different beast in Mohair only compared to in Merino and Mohair. So I'm wondering whether to just like enhance that by changing the schematic of the First Sweater Mohair edition a little bit. Maybe like having a bit less ease in the body and a bit more in the sleeve, like making a bit more of a drapey balloon sleeve. Like the original one, they are balloon sleeves, but they're not like super drapey. It's more like about the difference of the stitch patterns. But I wonder, like with this, whether to just like, you know, make them even more extra than they already are. We'll see. And maybe, so I know quite a lot of people find Mohair tricky around the neck as well, and the First Sweater has a high-ish neck. I don't really want to do a V-neck because then it would be really different, but I don't know, it's just worth taking into consideration when you're using different yarns, different materials, like what other changes to make. But again, if people find Mohair tricky, then there are substitutes, like there's like lace weight alpacas and yarns with like tencel and stuff. Caroline's Knits, my very good friend, has done a great video on Mohair and some substitutes, and Sophie, the Knit Pearl Girl, is an encyclopedia on Mohair and possibly comments on some substitutes. So I won't pretend to be any more like expert on the matter than they are. But yeah, there's some plans for some sort of alternate versions of First Sweaters, so that's very exciting. So that is Drops Kid Silk. I actually also have, I made my souffle in Drops Kid Silk, and I have some of that left over. That was in navy blue, which I thought was really lovely. So I actually have like 4 skeins of this left over, just showing you 2 here. So I'm not quite sure what I want this to become. I've got 2 50-gram skeins of the Drops Nepal left over from making my brother's zipper sweater. I've got way more of the Mohair that would go with it than I have the Nepal, so I don't know really if I'd combine those. Have I got the Nepal to hand? I did have it, it's disappeared. Ah, here it is. Bear with. See, they would be a very good match. I didn't end up using the Mohair. I bought this to go with this for him for Christmas, but I didn't end up using it because I liked the stitch definition for him, and I just didn't actually think he'd want fluff. So I just used the Nepal on its own. But I bought a sweater quantity of this navy Mohair to match, and I have like 1 and a bit skeins of this left, which wouldn't make much more than a hat, I wouldn't have thought, but 4 skeins of this left. My souffle used 5 of the 9. So needs a bit of thinking. I could make like a hat with the Nepal and a bit of the fluff, which would be really nice, but then I'd still be left with some more fluff. So I'm not sure, but we'll come back to scraps of fluff in a bit. I hope you're still enjoying. Obviously, like, this sort of a different kind of episode, so feel free to just dip in and out as much as you like. If you're not up for like watching all of this video at once, that's absolutely fine. Like, you just do what you like. So I'm going to, those are kind of, if you can break this up into sections, those are kind of the yarns that like I immediately think of when I think of my stash and like my plans. And I'd say, yeah, I do kind of have a plan for pretty much all of those. I don't think there's anything I've talked about where I said I really didn't know what to do with, apart from the Mohair and the Nepal, which, to be fair, are kind of leftovers. Like, they're not purchased with like no plan in mind. So next I'm going to talk about 2 quantities of yarn which I have in my stash, which were gifted to me by yarn companies. which was really, really kind. The first one is by Rowan Yarns and Quail Studio, and the second one is by We Are Knitters. So first of all, Rowan reached out and asked me if I would be interested in making something from their autumn-winter collection. And I said yes, definitely, and I chose a beautiful knitted dress, which is such an interesting concept. I've never made a knitted dress. I chose the Eleanor dress, which I will put a picture of on the screen. It's in broken rib, or a version of broken rib, and it is made in this beautiful alpaca soft DK by Rowan Yarns, of course. So this is in the colour charcoal, and it's really, really, really soft, really squishy, and just, yeah, feels absolutely delightful. This is a merino and alpaca mix, I believe. Yeah, 70%, sorry, not merino, 70% virgin wool and 30% alpaca. So it's really, really soft. I hope, the only thing I'm wondering with the alpaca content, especially making a dress, is that it will have the potential for like draping and growing, and especially in a dress, which is a very heavy garment. It's my sort of only concern, but like, I'm sure Rowan know exactly what they're doing. So this, like I said, is in the colour charcoal, which is a really like rich dark grey. This is a 50-gram ball, and it runs at 50 grams is 125 metres, which is the same as the Sostrene Grene bamboo, and also the same as the Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, which is a random fact, but I thought it was interesting. I have got 13 skeins of this, and the recommended needle size, I think I'm going to be making the dress on a 4mm needle, and yeah, this does recommend 4mm needles. So the interesting thing with the Eleanor dress is that the pattern is made to be knit flat and seamed, and that's not something I enjoy very much. So I'm wondering if it's going to be possible to hack the pattern a bit and maybe somehow make it seamless. I'll probably either have to do it bottom up or top down, and I'm not sure how that's going to go. I do feel a bit bad, because obviously I was gifted this, and whilst there was no specific, what's the word? There were no sort of rules set out or anything that I absolutely had to do under any specific time frame. Obviously, the point of giving me this was that I would make the garment, and I absolutely am going to make the garment. There was a bit of a delay with receiving this, and I actually only received it on Christmas Eve, and then by the time Christmas and everything was over, we were sort of like coming to the end of winter, and I thought I actually really, really would like to have this ready for autumn, because like transitioning from late summer into autumn, like a knitted dress would just be so nice. It's got quite a high collar. I just think it would be such a nice piece for like autumn, winter, and in order to get the most out of it, I didn't want to like rush it, especially wanting to try and hack the pattern a bit. So I've obviously got the yarn in stash, and I am going to make this ready for autumn, winter 2022. Yes, 2020. Why am I finding that so hard? Autumn, winter 22-23, I suppose it will be. But yeah, I'm excited. This yarn feels really, really soft, which will definitely be the alpaca content. I do think that Rowan yarns are quite expensive. For example, their Mohair is definitely top end of the Mohair range. However, I'm not exactly sure what this retails for, but I can tell you that it feels really nice. So I'm very, very excited to use it, and thank you, Rowan, for sending it to me. They also sent generously their whole collection of patterns in a brochure, so that's amazing as well. And yeah, I'm excited to have a flick through there to see what else I can make. So the second item that I've been gifted, I was really kindly gifted by the PR team at We Are Knitters. Now, this video isn't about the situation that occurred when We Are Knitters collaborated with Zara Man, and I'm not here to talk about it, but I will just say that this collaboration between me and them was agreed prior to that happening. So they very kindly reached out and said, would I like to try some of their yarn or a kit? And I kind of was so overwhelmed by all the stuff that they had. And in a way I'm like, why did I choose this? But in a way I'm so glad I did, because it's not like anything else I've got on my needles or in my stash, pattern stash or yarn stash at the moment. So I haven't even opened it yet because I was waiting to do it on a podcast. So here is my We Are Knitters kit. So I have chosen the, can you see that there? The zinc blanket. Trying to get rid of the glare. There you are. Which is a really chunky blanket made in their Filcolana wool. And I think it might be some kind of fisherman's rib, which we all know I live and breathe. So let's have a look inside. Oh, I'm lying. I did. No, I didn't. I didn't open it. It's like, did I just tell a lie? No, I didn't. So I feel like one of those proper YouTubers now. I'm like unboxing something. And obviously I can't open it because it did not come prepared. Right, sorry. So loud. Okay, so in here we have the, oh wow. That's really nice. The Filcolana. So there's two different colours in this kit. The blanket is kind of like mild. So I ordered the raw grey and the raw dark grey. So this, which one is this? This is the raw dark grey. And yeah, it's lovely. Really squishy. This is a 200 gram skein, I do believe. No, I'm lying. 200 metres, 100 gram skein. 100 grams gives you 200 metres. So 50 grams would give you 100 metres. So that is the same as the Peruvian Highland wool, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. Whoa. So yeah, that's the raw dark grey. Ah, there's the raw grey. Oh yeah, that is different. Oh, that's going to be really nice together. Oh yeah. There's the colours. Oh yeah. Raw grey, raw dark grey. That's almost like a warmer browny grey, and that's a true light grey. They feel, you can, I think, is it recycled wool? Sorry, I should have checked this before. I'm sure it's recycled wool. 100% wool. You can see that it's quite like, I hope you can see anyway, that there's quite a lot of colour variation in the fibre. Focus, please. There we go. So yeah, it's quite heathered, which is nice. And it's sort of on the verge of, it is soft, it's not scratchy. That's not true. But yeah, it feels on the verge of being rustic, which I think's really nice. It feels very like you got it, like it's definitely a wool, you know, with a capital W. That's lovely. So this kit is made on 15mm needles, I think. Yeah. So hopefully once I get going with it, it will be quite speedy. The needles are included in the kit. I think they're in here. Warning, amazing needles inside. So I've got 4 of these and 4 of these, and the 15mm needles, and obviously the instructions on how to make the blanket. Anything else I need to show you? Instructions and booklet and things are in here. some little stickers, pattern booklet. So yeah, we are in the process of, I say in the process of, it's a long process, buying a house. And I don't know, I think I just was in like a nesting homemaking mode when We Are Knitters asked me like what I wanted to try. And I just was like looking at the blankets and I was like, that looks so nice, like the mild and the chunkiness and the wool type. I've been really intrigued by the Filcolana because one of my test knitters, I think it was Knits by Autumn, made the first sweater in Filcolana, and it was just really different to what anyone else did, and it looked really cozy. And Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl has made her crescendo sweater in Filcolana as well, and it just looks really lovely. Like, I think the wool looks really nice. It's not plied. It's kind of twisted, but not plied. So there may well be some shedding, but like that does make it nice and soft, and it's really, really squishy. So look out for this in my upcoming podcast episodes. I will be able to give you some feedback. But yeah, they were my two gifted additions to my yarn stash. So we are really getting through it, which is great because I only have 1/3 of my battery left. So I will push on. So now sort of the last kind of section are kind of yarns which I'd kind of forgotten about. And I know that sounds bad, but I challenge anyone not to have any yarns that they've kind of forgotten about lurking in their stash. And it was really nice to get them out and be like, oh yes, like now what can I make with this? And just kind of bring that awareness back to what we have and what we're going to do with the things that we have. And yeah, I'll show you these and I'll tell you, I don't really have like set plans for some of these because I only rediscovered them again today, but I can tell you the kind of things that I'm thinking about. So the first one is this really bright Diablo yarn from Hobby, I never know how you should say it. And this is in Cobalt Blue. And yeah, this and like the bright greens, I nearly toppled that then, did you see? Like if I'm going to go for a bright, like it will be, I just think these colours are amazing. I say that, this is me who made a neon accented Aosta sweater, but yeah, generally I don't go for like that bright colours all over. But if it's going to be bright, it's going to be a blue or a green, and it's just so good. I absolutely love Cobalt Blue. I really, like, this is what I mean. When I rediscovered this morning, I was like, oh God, I need something Cobalt Blue in my wardrobe. It's just incredible, like electric. I absolutely love it. So like I said, this is Diablo from Hobie, which is their Mohair nylon and acrylic blend. Now, I originally bought this. This shows how things change, right? I originally bought this ages ago, I think in 2019, or yeah, I think Black Friday sale of 2019. I bought this. And like, God, I mean, I have no problem. I appreciate fully that people have different yarn budgets, and I also appreciate and I'm very aware of the fact that, you know, I have a reasonable disposable income and I can spend money on yarn. Not everyone is in that position. And I just remember being like, oh my word, this mohair blend is so cheap, so reasonable. And then I got Black Friday deal off it as well. So this really was not expensive. But even full price, it's not expensive. But it's not a full mohair. It's only 30% mohair. So you do get what you pay for. But this colour is just outstanding. But yeah, I originally bought it to make Knitting for Olive's waffle sweater with. And then I didn't, and I can't really remember why. Not sure. But I don't actually think, now that time and my understanding of yarn have moved on, that this would be the best yarn to make that sweater in. I think because of the high like acrylic content, it's just, the fluff is very different. It feels very different to like a higher mohair content mohair, if that makes sense. And I think I would prefer to make that garment in that, because that garment is a 3 mohair strand, you know, it's mohair only. And I think if I was to make it, I would want to use it to showcase a higher quality mohair. That's just my opinion. However, on rediscovering this, I was like, I need to use this for something. So I have 7 full skeins of it and then 45 grams worth of scraps. I kind of experimented with making like a really chunky, loose gauge cardigan with this, but it just didn't really work out. So I still have 7 full skeins, like I said. So in total, I have 220 grams, or nearly 2,000 meters. So that is definitely enough to use as a second strand for something. So I know that the Sandnes Double Sunday and the Sunday, I think, come in a cobalt blue. So I'm like, ooh, this could be a good second strand. So I think that's what I'll probably end up using this Diablo for. I don't think I'll use it on its own because I'm not mad about how it feels and how it knit up when I was using it on its own. But I think as an accompaniment to use its outstanding colour, which I just think I can't stress enough how much I love, it will make an amazing second strand for something. So yeah, I just need to find a pattern that I think would sing in a cobalt blue. So watch this space. Here are my scraps of it. Just look at the colour, it's just so great. Right, I'm going to put it away before we really lose the plot. Let's put it up here. I've stopped putting things up here. Let's add some crazy blue to the car. Let's add it there. We really are deep diving now into the back of the cupboard. It's funny what you find when you look there. There's a few things that were hiding there that definitely kind of were left over from like early knitting days. Just before I talk about those, I'll just quickly show you this. I forgot about this earlier. So I have some cotton, because I was talking about wanting to make a summer top or cami with that Sandnes Tynn liner, and I also found that I have some paint box cotton in the back of the drawer. Now this is in the colourway Dolphin Blue, and it is 100% cotton. However, it's quite a thick cotton. It's an Aran weight cotton. So these are 50 gram skeins, and 50 grams is 85 meters. And again, a bit like the last yarn, that's just a kind of weight that I'm not really familiar with using. I had a quick look and it's quite a bit thicker than the We Are Knitters Pima cotton, which I think runs at like 100 grams or something like 210 meters or something. So 50 grams would be like over 100 meters, whereas this is 85 meters. So I wonder if this is more similar to the Wool in the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton. I actually forgot to look up the yardage to compare. So I'm not sure exactly what to make with this. I really like, the only thing that's not quite true, but one of the things I've made in cotton is lovely Melanie from the Knit Stitch. I made her Seasons Change cardigan, 2 of those which use the leaf stitch, and she has some summer, she has a summer top, the Season Change top, but she also has the leaf top, which is a little strappy top, and I just wonder if actually I could use this to make one of those. I'd have to check the gauge because I'm pretty sure she wrote those with the We Are Knitters cotton as the recommended yarn. But I could do some jiggery pokery, my favourite, and just adjust the gauge a little bit, or the fit. So I have 4 of these in total. These are left over from a blanket that I made as a gift previously, but I overbought on yarn and underestimated the time I had. So the blanket ended up quite a bit smaller, more like a shawl if I'm quite honest, probably quite useless. And why I made a blanket in cotton wasn't for a baby. I don't know. This is what I mean about early knitting days. You're a bit like, why did I do that? But anyway, yeah, I have 4 of these. And I love this. It's like a sort of dusty blue colour. So the colour is really nice. And I think it would be like a top in this would be lovely. Just need to decide which one and probably do some adaptation with regards to the gauge. But then I might not need to. Is cotton Aran that common a thing? I don't know. I feel like I haven't really seen it a lot, but then I don't knit a lot in cotton, so this needs some more exploration. Again, any recommendations as to what I can do with 4 skeins of cotton Aran that I could wear would be much appreciated. Like, this is totally in the colour palette. This can stay. I think neutrals, greens and blues are they just go with my hair. Like, they don't clash with my hair like fiery, angry colours do. So yeah, let me know, because I love the colour. I'm just not quite sure what to do with it because of the weight rather than anything else. I'll pop those there. So continuing on the theme of early knitting days and what was I doing, it really wants to focus on that pile of yarn, and I really want it to focus on my face. I have said I did 2 videos, episode 2 and 3 of my podcast, talking about like early knitting journey and like things I made and looking back and like how much I've grown as a knitter and stuff like that. And as part of that, I talked about how I used to like Wool and the Gang stuff a lot. I don't dislike it now, I just don't really feel the need for kits. And most of their stuff is like knit, flat and seamed, which I don't enjoy as a technique. So I just don't really buy from them much anymore. But I still have some stuff in my stash from when I did that I haven't used. So the first thing is I made a pair of Kind of Magic socks, which are really cool self-patterning socks that make, if you get the gauge correct, and that's a big if, and it took me flipping forever, but I kind of got there in the end, leopard print socks. And I bought a pack which gave you 3 colourways, and I only have made 1 pair so far because I'm not going to lie, they were a pain. I think it was a combination of the fact that the yarn is quite difficult to handle, in that you really do have to meet gauge, otherwise you don't get the pattern. And if you're a perfectionist like me, that doesn't sit well. I've seen some people that are just like, I go on, they don't care, they just knit with it and see what happens, and that's great, but I can't. I should, but I can't. And also, socks are not straightforward, and I wasn't a very experienced knitter when I tried to make them. I think I'd only been knitting for a few months, so it probably wasn't the best combination of things to try and use. I'd also never used DPNs before, I'd never used like 2 and 3mm needles before, so I'm amazed we got anything that you could even put on your foot out of that effort. But we did. I've shown them in episode 2 or 3, but I will pop a picture in so you can see. However, I do have 2 of the 3 skeins left over. So here is the original bag, all scrunched from being in the back of the cupboard, but there is Kind of Magic socks. And this all on a cat theme. All the names are on a cat theme, which isn't really in the name, but I love cats, so I'm totally here for it. So I made I've literally forgotten the green ones. I can't remember what the name's called. Can't remember. The green ones. They're the ones that I have completed and you'll have just seen a picture of. But in here I have 1 skein that is still completely intact. So this is the perfect purple colourway, which you can't really tell from the outside because you can just see all this blue. But in here are the colour, the pre-dyed up self-patterning yarns that will make the leopard print effect that you can see on there when they are done. So yeah, this is the perfect purple one. And then in here, this is kind of like part made up because I actually took this with me to Vietnam and kind of vainly hoped that when we had some travelling time I would get some knitting time, but that just didn't really happen. There was always too many other like people squashed around, or we were sleeping, or you know, you always imagine these things and then they just don't quite work out that way. But I have made a start on these ones actually. This is the pink paws, which is actually the one that's on the front cover colourway, and you can see that I started the ribbing on the cuff in this pink colour, and then you kind of knit a few rounds of like stripes, and supposedly if you change colour at the same place each round your gauge is going to be right. But I actually found that if I met gauge to change colour at the same point each round, then my gauge on the pattern was off, which was a bit odd. So I don't know. I've come across so many people who've like made these socks and they've kind of had like similar experiences. They're not straightforward, but genuinely, like when they work, they look amazing. And it is such a cool concept, really, that you could get never mind self-striping yarn, but self-patterning yarn. I think this was a collaboration between Wool and the Gang and, gosh, how am I going to say that? Sashenmeyer or Rheia, I don't know. I'm not a sock knitter, so I don't know all these things. That's terrible, that hasn't focused. But you can see there, come on, the several brands have collaborated. There we go. They're a sock yarn producer, I do believe, and then Will and the Gang have obviously put their name to these really funky self-patterning socks. So yes, I actually really would like to like carry on with these one day, and it'd be interesting. Like, so we went to Vietnam in summer 2019. So yeah, it's ages. It's nearly 3 years since I've picked these up. So I think it would be interesting, not that I've made socks in that time, not that I've bloomed as a sock knitter, but it would just be interesting to see if my general skill level in knitting having increased, if that has made a difference to like my ability to make these, or if they're still as mysterious as they were the first time. So nearly there now. Again, on the Wool and the Gang theme, I ordered, the very first kit I ordered actually before these was the Big Time jumper by Wool and the Gang, which is like a moss stitch jumper which is knit flat and seamed. And I didn't really know anything about wool yarn when I ordered this because I didn't know anything about knitting. This was literally like the first kit I ever ordered from Wool and the Gang, and I was just so excited. And this is the yarn that arrived. Now actually, again, like this is the first time I've looked at this yarn in years, and I'm now looking at it with new eyes. I'm like, ooh, that's really interesting. The colour, I mean, can you see a theme with the bright green? Like the colour's beautiful. This is little Heal the Wool. So there are two Heal the Wools, which are their recycled wools, and this is the lighter weight version. There's Big Heal the Wool and Little Heal the Wool. This is in Succulent Green, and I don't quite know where the weight would class this. So this is 100 grams is 80 meters. So does that make it a chunky, a heavy worsted? I'm not quite sure. I never quite know where the rules change, but it's very interesting. So it's recycled wool 100%, and it's got this high twist, you know, very obvious ply to it. And it feels quite rustic, which you'd expect, I guess, with the recycled, but also quite, it's not scratchy, it's soft. I don't know, I've literally said two opposite things there, haven't I? But yeah, I'm like, this is a really interesting yarn, and I'd quite like to see now what I could make from it. So again, I don't know what, I need to get my head around what weight it is, because I have 900 grams of this. You can see it here actually. I knit it up into a panel of the jumper, which I was then going to seam and make sleeves. So it knits up really nicely. Like, there's a really great stitch definition on that. Like, that's lovely. And on the rib. I knit this on straight needles. Never again. So, yeah. It's nice. It's heavy. It's a woolly wool. And it's recycled. What's not to love? So, yeah, I need to get my head around what I can make with 900 grams of a chunky or whatever weight it is yarn. But I absolutely love the colour, and I'm definitely going to frog this because I don't really want like a boxy fit moss stitch seamed sweater. Like, I don't want that, but I want the yarn. And when I discovered this again today, I was like, oh, wow, this is something from years ago that, you know, I've given up on, put away, but I can repurpose this and I can use this for something else. And like, wouldn't it be really cool if in like a year from now, like, I've got like a garment that I really love from some yarn that I like had forgotten about for years and had just been in the bottom of a box. And if I hadn't have made this video and hadn't have like gone to the effort of assessing what I've got, I wouldn't know about it. And yeah, that's just made me really happy. So again, if you have any suggestions, or, you know, you think that would look really cool as a XYZ, or I can imagine it as an ABC, then let me know. And I'm gonna, can you search Ravelry by yarn weight? I'm gonna try that and see. So yeah, who knows what that will become. That's kind of the theme of this section, isn't it? Who knows what it's going to become, but that's okay. Then I just have one more thing to show you, and then we're done, and that's the stash. Well, almost. So again, early knitting days, I liked kits and I liked chunky yarn, and I don't think I was alone in any of that. You know, to the new knitter, I feel like kits are marketed at new knitters because you have everything you need in the kit. So you won't, you know, you're not going to have a library of needles at home that you can just pick the one you need. That's why kits are great, because you get what you need with the pattern. And then chunky knits are also kind of marketed at new knitters because they're quick, you can learn, like, it's easy to see your stitches, like, yeah, you can see why. But I was quite into chunky knits, and I really liked, well, I love Lauren Aston. I think she's great. I absolutely love like following along with her business and her creations, and obviously she's now become a mum, which is so lovely. But at one point I was quite like into her designs and making quite a few of her chunky knits. She now has started doing some like less chunky knits, which is interesting. But at the time I was kind of like into her stuff. It was very much chunky vibes. And I was a member of her yarn club and subscribed every 2 months, and received yarn in the post, which was really cool. And actually these colours together are giving me really great like autumn vibes right now. But yeah, I have made some really cool stuff with her yarn. I made a jumper with this duck egg colour. I haven't made anything with this olive. I made a beautiful, if I may say so myself, fisherman's rib scarf for a friend with the bright red. I made a colour block jumper with a navy blue and peach. I've made some mittens. Yeah, I've made a fair few things, but I stopped the subscription to the yarn club when I kind of was moving away from chunky yarns, and these are basically what I have in my stash. So I have 5 skeins of the 200-gram Merino hanks, which are 130 meters each, 2 in this olive colourway, 2 in this, I want to call it mulberry, it's something berry colourway, and 1 in the duck egg. And again, I'm not quite sure what to do with them. I don't know whether to sell them. This isn't really my colour. This is, but there's only 1 skein of it. This is most definitely my colour. But I'm not sure I need like another scarf. The scarf I made was like really, really nice. So if I was to make anything with these, maybe it would be another big chunky fisherman's rib scarf that I could gift to someone for Christmas. But yeah, these are the remnants of my super chunky knitting days. I didn't get a choice over the colours because they're in like the surprise club, but yeah, I think that's probably all there is to say on these. This is a kilogram of yarn right here. How cool is that? So my battery is now flashing at me, which means it's nearly time to go. The only thing I have left to show you, which I probably don't have time to go through in full, is my bag of mohair scraps. Woohoo! Apart from that yellow, what was that about my colour palette? Oh, literally all greens and blues. This, Telia, just like the juicy green, but actually I spotted this earlier and I was like, ooh, you know I was saying I wanted to pair some mohair with the Sandnes Garn? Well, hello. How perfect a match is that? So I'll swatch that, I think. How many meters is this? 150, and this is 210. So to make a garment, I definitely would need some more Telia, but that's okay. I feel like dye lot is maybe less of an issue if it's for your second strand of mohair. Famous last words, maybe. But yeah, that could be a good use for this. And then, yeah, I've got so many cool, like, blues and greens in here. Just take out a few. They're all, like, on a palette, aren't they? So, oops, I'd love to make something with all of these. I just don't quite know what. I feel like there could be a fade in there. Rebecca from the Crow Bay has got me thinking about fades. Oh, that could be really cool, actually. Some kind of mohair fade with like a neutral second strand, or maybe a stripe, maybe like a striped garment but fading. Ooh, so much inspiration all over the place. But yes, that's us really. So I'm gonna say bye before my camera dies. I'm amazed I got through everything. I'm so pleased. Thank you so much for watching. That was so much fun. You can see all my yarn behind me, well, most of it. It's, yeah, like I said at the beginning, it's been so good to go through what I have and sort of take stock, take some accountability and make some knitting plans. I feel so inspired by my own stash, and like, how amazing is that to be inspired by what you already have. And yeah, I'm not sure there's that much else to say. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know. Let me know what you would make with some of it. Let me know if you've got any questions. Which, like, I don't know, which yarns are your favourite? What are you most excited to see progress on? Yeah, any thoughts, any greetings, anything welcome really. So yeah, thank you so much. I wish everybody happy knitting, and I will see you next time where normal podcast service will resume. Have a lovely day, an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you very soon. Bye!